Welcome to the Health Headliner podcast by Tudu Digital. Our content is informational only and not medical advice. Please consult your provider. Now, let's dive into today's headlines.
Ever feel like you're running on fumes, like your internal battery just can't hold a charge like it used to? Well, today, we're digging deep into the science behind our cellular energy factories, the mitochondria, and a fascinating new study that might just hold the key to understanding why they lose steam over time.
It's a really intricate process, but this study sheds light on how our cells manage the delicate balance between keeping those energy factories running smoothly and actually producing the energy we need.
So we've got two sources for this deep dive: a Science News article that breaks things down for us non-scientists, and the actual research paper itself. Our mission is to figure out how this newly discovered mechanism works, why it matters for our health, and what it might mean for the future of treating diseases and even aging. Ready to explore the microscopic world that powers us.
Let's get energized. First, a quick refresher. Inside almost every cell in our bodies are these tiny structures called mitochondria, and they're responsible for converting the food we eat into usable energy. What's unique is that they have their own set of DNA, separate from the DNA in our cell's nucleus, called mitochondrial DNA.
Right, it's like they have their own little instruction manual. So what did this study uncover about mitochondrial DNA that has scientists buzzing?
The study focuses on two crucial processes: mitochondrial DNA replication, which is basically making more copies of that mitochondrial DNA instruction manual, and transcription, which is using the information in that DNA to create the molecules essential for energy production. Think of it like a factory. You need both the blueprints, mitochondrial DNA, and the workers, RNA molecules, to build a functioning product, energy. This research zeroes in on a protein called mitochondrial transcription elongation factor and its role in maintaining this balance.
Okay, so we've got this protein involved in managing the energy production process. How did the researchers actually study what it does?
They used a really cool gene editing tool called CRISPR to literally remove this protein mitochondrial transcription elongation factor from human cells and observe what happened. They cleverly used a specific type of cell that can survive even without fully functional mitochondria. This allowed them to tinker with the mitochondrial DNA without killing the cells altogether.
So they basically shut down the manager of the factory and watched how things went haywire. What did they find?
Exactly. And the results were pretty striking. They observed a significant decrease in the number of mitochondrial DNA copies in the cells. It's like the factory started running out of blueprints. They also noticed a dramatic drop in something called 7S DNA, a marker of mitochondrial DNA replication, indicating that the replication process was severely disrupted.
So no mitochondrial transcription elongation factor, no energy. Makes sense.
Not so fast. It's more complex than that. They found that while mitochondrial DNA replication was declining, the initiation of transcription from a specific region of the mitochondrial DNA actually increased. So it's not just about the amount of mitochondrial DNA, but also about the precise coordination and timing of these processes.
So it's like the workers are getting confused about what to build even though they have fewer blueprints. That definitely sounds like trouble for the cell's energy production.
Right, and that's exactly what the study suggests. This imbalance between replication and transcription likely leads to a depletion of those essential RNA molecules needed for energy production. It's like the factory's running out of both materials and skilled workers.
Okay, so we've established that this protein, mitochondrial transcription elongation factor, is pretty important. But how did they know the effects they saw were specifically due to its absence and not just a side effect of messing with the cell's machinery in general? Science is all about being certain, right?
You're absolutely right. Scientists are all about ruling things out. To make sure they were seeing the specific effects of removing mitochondrial transcription elongation factor, the researchers designed a clever second experiment. They used an antibiotic called chloramphenicol, which inhibits mitochondrial translation, essentially mimicking the effects of those missing RNA molecules we talked about. It's like they created a similar broken factory situation, but through a different means.
So they were testing if just having a shortage of workers would cause the same problems as having no manager A&D, a shortage of workers.
Precisely. And the results were really interesting. They found that chloramphenicol treatment, like removing mitochondrial transcription elongation factor, did lead to a decrease in mitochondrial DNA copy numbers and those 7S DNA levels. But here's the key difference. It didn't cause that same increase in transcription from that specific region of mitochondrial DNA that we saw in the first experiment.
Uh-huh. So that means the decrease in mitochondrial DNA replication is probably caused by both the absence of the mitochondrial transcription elongation factor itself
Yeah.
and the indirect effects of those missing RNA molecules, like a double whammy.
Exactly. It suggests the factory is suffering from both a lack of management and a shortage of skilled workers. No wonder the energy levels take a hit.
Okay, so we've established that this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor is vital. But how does it actually DO all of this? What's the mechanism at play?
That's where things get really fascinating. The study also uncovered that this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor seems to interact directly with an enzyme called DNA polymerase gamma, which is responsible for replicating mitochondrial DNA. They confirmed this interaction using a technique called co-immunoprecipitation, which is a way to see which proteins are hanging out together in the cell.
So this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor is a bit of a multitasker, helping with transcription A and D, interacting with the enzyme responsible for replication.
It seems so. And this interaction might explain how mitochondrial transcription elongation factor helps the cells switch from transcription to replication at the right time. It's coordinating the workflow, making sure everyone is on the same page.
This is getting complex, but I'm starting to see how important this protein is. But if our mitochondria are struggling because of it, how does that actually lead to things like Alzheimer's or heart disease? What's the connection there?
That's a great question. While this specific study didn't examine the precise mechanisms of how dysfunction with mitochondrial transcription elongation factor leads to those diseases, we can look to what we know about mitochondrial dysfunction in general. As we age, our mitochondria naturally become less efficient, partly due to the accumulation of damage to mitochondrial DNA. If this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor isn't functioning properly, it can worsen this problem by disrupting that balance between replication and transcription, leading to even less energy production.
Less energy, more problems. It's making sense now.
Right. And this energy shortage can have cascading effects throughout the body. Neurons, which are incredibly energy-hungry cells, are especially vulnerable to problems with their mitochondria. So if neurons aren't getting enough energy, it can contribute to neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease.
And what about other diseases?
Well, heart disease is another major one. Heart muscle cells require a constant supply of energy to keep pumping effectively, so any disruption to mitochondrial function can weaken the heart and increase the risk of heart failure. Similarly, cancer cells often display altered mitochondrial function, and some research suggests that targeting mitochondria could be a promising new strategy for cancer therapy.
So it's not just about the amount of mitochondrial DNA, but also about how efficiently it's used.
Yeah.
And this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor seems to be conducting that whole orchestra. But before we get carried away, let's talk about the limitations of this study. No research is perfect, right? What questions remain unanswered?
You're absolutely right. This research, while fascinating, was conducted on isolated cells in a lab setting. These cells, while useful, don't perfectly represent the complex environment of a living organism. More research is needed to confirm these findings in more realistic models and eventually in humans.
So we can't jump to conclusions just yet.
Not quite. Plus, this study focused on a single protein, this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor. While it clearly plays a critical role, it's likely just one piece of a much larger puzzle. There must be other factors involved in regulating mitochondrial DNA replication and transcription.
So this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. It's an important step forward, but much more remains to be explored about mitochondria and their connection to aging and disease.
Okay, now for the million-dollar question. What does this discovery mean for us? Why should we care about this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor and its balancing act?
I think the implications are huge. Firstly, this research gives us a much deeper understanding of how mitochondrial DNA replication and transcription are regulated, which is fundamental to cell biology. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, it opens up potential new targets for therapies aimed at treating mitochondrial diseases.
So if we could figure out how to keep mitochondrial transcription elongation factor functioning properly, or even boost its activity, could we potentially prevent or treat some of these devastating diseases?
It's certainly a possibility, and that's incredibly exciting. And it doesn't stop there. Remember, mitochondrial dysfunction is implicated in aging. So in theory, if we could fine-tune the activity of mitochondrial transcription elongation factor, we might be able to slow down the aging process itself.
So that's what I call a game changer.
Oh.
Okay, so we've got this exciting new research, but did it make any waves in the scientific community? What are other experts saying about it?
It definitely got the attention of researchers studying mitochondria and aging. One prominent geneticist who wasn't involved in the study even commented that this research provides, quote, compelling evidence for the crucial role of mitochondrial transcription elongation factor in maintaining mitochondrial health. They also said that understanding how to manipulate mitochondrial transcription elongation factor activity could have profound implications for treating a wide range of diseases.
So the excitement isn't limited to the researchers who conducted the study. This really does feel like a big deal.
It does. There's a real sense of optimism in the scientific community that this discovery could lead to new and effective treatments for mitochondrial diseases. But of course, like with any new research, we need to be cautious. This study is just a starting point.
Right. Back to those limitations we discussed.
Exactly. There's still so much we don't know. For example, this research focused on a single protein, mitochondrial transcription elongation factor, but there are undoubtedly other factors involved in regulating mitochondrial DNA replication and transcription. We need to understand how they all work together to get the full picture.
So this is just one piece of the puzzle, but a crucial one it seems. Where do you think research should go from here? What are the next steps?
Well, I think the most immediate next step would be to try and replicate these findings in different types of cells and in animal models. That would give us more confidence that what we're seeing in these isolated cells actually holds true in a more complex biological system.
Makes sense. And then what? What are the bigger long-term goals?
Ultimately, the big goal would be to translate these findings into therapies that can benefit patients. If we can figure out how to manipulate mitochondrial elongation factor activity safely and effectively, it could open up a whole new world of possibilities for treating mitochondrial diseases and potentially even slowing down the aging process. But that's still a long way off. There's a lot more research to be done before we get there.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities, though. This tiny protein, this mitochondrial transcription elongation factor, could have such a huge impact on human health.
It really is remarkable, and it highlights the power of basic scientific research. Sometimes the most unexpected discoveries can lead to the most groundbreaking advancements.
Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive. I'm feeling energized and ready to learn even more about the mysteries of our cells. We've been on quite a journey today, exploring the inner workings of our cellular powerhouses, the mitochondria. From the intricacies of mitochondrial DNA replication and transcription, to the crucial role of a protein called mitochondrial transcription elongation factor. We've uncovered some fascinating insights into how our cells generate energy and what happens when those processes go awry.
It's been a deep dive indeed, and it's clear that these tiny structures, these mitochondria, hold a world of secrets that we're only just beginning to unravel. But as we learn more, we're uncovering incredible possibilities for treating diseases and potentially even extending human lifespan.
It's mind-blowing to think about the implications. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. What can we do right now on a practical level to support our own mitochondrial health? We've got all this knowledge, but how do we put it into action?
That's a great question. And the good news is there's a lot you can do to nurture your mitochondria and keep them functioning at their best. It starts with making lifestyle choices that support overall cellular health.
Okay, so let's get specific. What are some of the top lifestyle recommendations for boosting mitochondrial health?
Exercise is key. Regular physical activity is one of the best things you can do for your mitochondria. It actually stimulates the creation of new mitochondria and improves their efficiency, kind of like giving those tiny powerhouses a tune-up.
So it's not just about building muscles, it's about building more efficient mitochondria. I like it. What type of exercise is best?
A combination of cardio and strength training is ideal. Cardio, like running, swimming, or cycling, gets your heart rate up and improves blood flow, which delivers oxygen and nutrients to your cells, including those mitochondria. Strength training, on the other hand, builds muscle mass. And muscle cells are packed with mitochondria. The more muscle you have, the more of those energy-producing factories you have at your disposal.
Got it. So get moving, mix it up, and fuel those mitochondria. What else can we do to support them?
Nutrition plays a crucial role as well. Focus on a diet rich in antioxidants, which help protect your cells from damage caused by free radicals.
I'm all about antioxidant-rich foods. Give me some examples.
Think colorful fruits and veggies. Berries, leafy greens, tomatoes, and even dark chocolate are packed with antioxidants. Also, make sure you're getting enough omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential for mitochondrial membrane health.
Good fats for healthy factories. Where can we find those omega-3 fatty acids?
Fatty fish like salmon and tuna are excellent sources, as are walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds.
Okay, so exercise, eat the rainbow, good fats. I'm taking notes here. What else can we add to our mitochondrial health checklist?
Sleep is another crucial factor that often gets overlooked. When you're sleep deprived, your cells, including your mitochondria, don't have a chance to repair and recharge.
I knew those late nights were catching up to me. So how much sleep is enough for optimal mitochondrial health?
Most adults need around 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night. It's not just about the quantity, but the quality as well. Make sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool, and establish a relaxing bedtime routine to help signal your body that it's time to wind down.
Okay, so prioritize sleep, create a calming routine. Got it. Anything else we can do to give our mitochondria some extra love?
Absolutely. Managing stress is another important piece of the puzzle. When you're chronically stressed, your body produces cortisol, a hormone that can actually damage mitochondria.
Oh no, stress is literally zapping my energy at the cellular level. All right, stress management is officially on the to-do list. Any tips for taming those stress levels?
Find what works for you, whether it's meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, or listening to calming music. Make time for activities that help you de-stress and unwind.
This is such great advice. It's amazing how these simple lifestyle choices can have such a profound impact on something as tiny as a mitochondrion. It's all connected.
Exactly. Your body is an intricate ecosystem, and everything is interconnected. By making choices that support overall health and well-being, you're creating an environment where your mitochondria can thrive and do their job of producing energy efficiently.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I'm feeling inspired to take better care of my mitochondria. Before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with? Any final thoughts or nuggets of wisdom about this incredible world within ourselves?
I think the key takeaway is that while we're still unraveling the mysteries of mitochondria, we know enough to take action. By making smart lifestyle choices and prioritizing our health, we can empower those tiny energy factories within us to function at their best. And who knows, maybe we can even slow down the aging process along the way.
Well said. It's a powerful reminder that we have more control over our health than we often realize. So let's fuel those mitochondria, embrace a healthy lifestyle, and unlock our full potential for vitality and longevity.
Absolutely. And remember, the journey to optimal health is an ongoing adventure. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those mitochondria humming.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of mitochondrial mysteries. And be sure to tune in next week for another fascinating deep dive into the world of science and health. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health Headliner podcast by To Digital. Like and subscribe for more health news and breakthroughs. Stay healthy and informed. See you next time.